under ERING here, which governs schools and the university system, and you can tell how old these statutes are, because they grant the use of institutional bulletin boards. Now, how many people really rely on bulletin boards to communicate anything anymore? But the statute says specifically use of bulletin boards, mailboxes, and other means of communication. Obviously, other means of communication have become very important. And the rules are that that doesn't mean you get access to absolutely every means of the employer's communication. But I wouldn't get very excited about that, because the reality is that you've probably long past the time where you could reserve your email system totally for your use. There may be some exceptions to that. There isn't a specific statutory right of access under the DILS Act, but HERB infers that from the purpose of the statute, and the rules are similar, and the cases under HERB are developing that. And also, unions might gain access under the DILS Act if their usual means of communication are too difficult or unreasonable, and we'll see a case about that, or whether the state's just applying their access rules to discriminate against unions. 4 different union activists, there was an internal union battle going on, I believe, in 4 different state agencies who were prohibited from using the state email, fax, and fax machines for any union purpose whatsoever. That led to an unfair labor practice. And in this case, of the 4 people, employee number 1 was sending out a lot of union emails, and she had one email that was incorrect. It bounced back to the system administrator, who noticed the union content and reported it to his supervisor. Employee number 2 was in another state agency, was receiving a lot of these messages from employee number 1. And employee number 1's supervisor, called up employee number 2's supervisor to report on that. So that's how those 2 email exchanges were discovered. Employee number 3 in yet another state agency foolishly sort of hit send on an entire department-wide distribution list, which included supervisors and managers. So of course, that was a red flag, and people realized she was using the email for union activities. And then the 4th person received a 29-page fax. You can tell from the date. This was a while ago. Most of us don't get faxes anymore. We get emails with attachments. But she was receiving a 29-page union fax on a fax machine that was located near her supervisor's office. And the fax machine was operating, I guess, so slowly that a line was developing of people who needed to use the fax machine. And that's how that situation came to all the various employers' attention. Once you've opened up your email to incidental personal use, you have to tolerate that same level of use by unions for union business. There's a theory that if the use is disruptive, if you can prove that it's disruptive and the union has other means of communicating, then maybe you can ban their use. But you don't get to the rule about other reasonable means unless you can prove it's disruptive. And here, UC had no way to prove it because they've never allowed to use it. And so again, the ALJ said you have to tolerate the same level of access by the unions that you allow for everybody else. The union president sent 3 emails system-wide, court-wide, to all of the LA County courts to bargaining unit members about union business. She also sent 1 email just to employees at her own court work site about a local meeting that they were going to have, just of the employees who are right there. Then the other thing that she did was that she reserved a room in the courtroom, an unused courtroom, for the union meeting. And she used this informal policy that employees used when they were just trying to reserve a room for a birthday party, for a Tupperware party at lunch, that kind of thing. There was an informal system that was used. There was also a very formal system that outside agencies used when they wanted to use court facilities, and that required a lot of advance notice. And the union president did not use that. She just wanted a courtroom in her own work site, so she used the informal system. And she was disciplined. I believe the court wanted to impose a 5-day discipline, 5-day suspension. They just unilaterally changed the access, sent a letter saying, this is it, we are banning all demonstrations in this building, at this building. The university didn't offer to bargain about it, or they just unilaterally adopted the rule. So that was the issue there. That goes back to your bargaining. The you can't access rules are bargainable, and that was, so that was a unilateral change that was unlawful. And the Teamsters argued that they should have a right to automatically being informed of every disciplinary action that the city took against a Teamsters member, and her rejected that argument and said, no, you're only entitled if you've requested information about it. There's no sort of automatic, get it all the time.